The highway shimmered beneath the heat, stretching endlessly across the dry heart of Nevada. Anna had her feet on the dashboard, her sunglasses tilted down as she watched the horizon blur into pale blue. The old Toyota hummed, the only sound between her and Luke for the last hour. They'd been driving since dawn, escaping a city that had started to feel too small, too repetitive, too much like a trap. "Still another 100 miles before we hit the next town," Luke said, glancing at the fuel gauge. "We'll stop when we can." Anna nodded absently, eyes drifting to a dark figure ahead. A man standing on the shoulder, arm out, thumb raised. Luke slowed instinctively. "Don't," Anna muttered. "You don't even pick up your mother on time." He smirked, but something about the stranger made him curious. The man wore a faded army jacket and carried nothing but a duffel bag. His face was hard to read beneath the shadow of a baseball cap. When they pulled alongside, he stepped closer. "Headed east?" Luke hesitated. "Yeah." The man smiled faintly. "Appreciate it. Just need a few miles down the road." Anna shot Luke a look but said nothing. The stranger climbed in the back seat. The smell of leather and dust filled the car. He sat upright, eyes forward, silent. After a few minutes, Luke tried to make small talk. "So, where you headed?" "Anywhere but here," the man replied. His voice was calm, too calm. Anna looked out the window, her reflection pale against the desert. Something about his tone, that hollow certainty, set her on edge. An hour passed. The sun sank lower, turning the sand gold. The man hadn't moved. Then quietly he said, "You should take the next right." Luke frowned. "That road doesn't go anywhere." The man's eyes met his in the mirror. "It does now." A long silence filled the car. Luke laughed nervously, but Anna's stomach tightened. When the next turn appeared, a dirt road unmarked, the man leaned forward. "Here." Luke didn't move. The man smiled slightly, the kind of smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I wouldn't make me ask twice." Anna turned slowly. His hand rested inside his jacket. She couldn't see what was there, but the message was clear. Luke swallowed hard and steered off the highway. The road ahead stretched into the unknown, swallowed by the desert dusk. The car jolted as its tires left the pavement and hit gravel. Dust rose behind them in a long, ghostly trail. The sun was sinking fast, bleeding orange light across the barren land. No one spoke. The only sound was the engine, too loud, too nervous. After a few minutes, Anna said softly, "Where does this road even go?" The hitchhiker leaned forward slightly from the back seat. "Old service road. Cuts through to the interstate. Locals don't use it anymore." Luke forced a laugh. "Yeah, I can see why." The man didn't respond. His gaze stayed fixed on the desert ahead, as if he knew something waiting beyond the horizon. Anna shifted uneasily. "What's your name?" A pause, then, flatly, "Tom." Luke nodded, pretending not to notice how Tom's hand never left his jacket. The miles crawled by. The road narrowed into dirt, then into something less, a track half buried in sand. The GPS showed nothing but empty space. "Maybe we should turn around," Anna said. Tom's eyes met Luke's in the mirror again. "Keep going." The tone wasn't angry. It was final. Luke obeyed. The sky deepened into violet. Darkness crept up from the desert floor. Soon they came across an old gas station. The sign was sun-bleached, the windows cracked, the pumps rusted to skeletons. A faded Coca-Cola logo clung to the wall like a memory. Tom leaned forward. "Pull in." Luke hesitated. It's abandoned. Pull in, Tom repeated. The engine idled as Luke parked near the pumps. Dust swirled lazily in the headlights. Tom opened his door and stepped out. "Stay here," he said, and walked toward the building. Anna whispered, "Luke, we have to go. Now." He gripped the wheel, torn between fear and reason. If he has a gun, he'll hear the engine. "Then we wait?" she hissed. Through the windshield, they watched Tom disappear inside the gas station. The sky had turned black. Minutes dragged. Then, movement. A faint light flickered inside. Then another. Tom reappeared carrying something metallic in his hand. He walked slowly back toward the car. Anna's breath hitched. "What is that?" As he came closer, the headlights caught it. An old gas can. He unscrewed the cap, the smell of fuel spilling into the night air. "You're almost empty," he said quietly. "You didn't even notice." Luke's stomach dropped. He hadn't looked at the gauge since leaving the highway. It was nearly on red. Tom smiled faintly, calm again. "Lucky I knew this place was here." He poured the fuel into the tank, every motion slow, deliberate. Then he replaced the cap and wiped his hands. "See?" he said. "Told you this road goes somewhere." Anna forced a smile, but her fingers trembled. When Tom got back in, the car felt smaller, tighter. "Keep driving," he said. Luke nodded, shifted gears, and pulled back onto the dirt road. No one noticed the gas can was empty, completely empty. And yet, the car kept running. By the time Daniel saw the gas station, he had been driving for almost 6 hours without a single sign of life. The road had turned from smooth asphalt to cracked pavement, the kind that rattled the steering wheel and hummed low under the tires. He slowed down when he saw the flickering neon sign, "Last stop gas, Route 39. There was only one pump. The lights buzzed faintly, fighting against the wind. A small convenience store stood beside it, its windows covered with dust and half-peeled posters. Daniel pulled over, killed the engine, and stepped out. The silence was total, heavy, like the world had stopped breathing. He pushed open the store door. A rusty bell rang, echoing into emptiness. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of old coffee and gasoline. Rows of shelves stood nearly empty, a few canned goods, a dusty map, and a pack of cigarettes that looked 20 years old. "Hello?" he called out. No answer. He walked behind the counter, noticing a small TV still on. Static hissed softly. He stared at it, hypnotized, until a faint reflection appeared on the screen. Someone standing behind him. Daniel spun around. Nothing. The door creaked in the wind. His pulse spiked. He waited for a sound, a movement, anything. But the only noise was the low buzz of the fluorescent light. He told himself it was just exhaustion. 6 hours of driving, little sleep, and the heat messing with his head. He filled his tank, watching the numbers roll slowly on the ancient pump. When it clicked, he turned to look back at the store and noticed a faint light glowing behind one of the windows. It wasn't there before. He hesitated. Then curiosity got the better of him. Inside again, the store looked the same. But behind the counter, he now saw an open door leading to a narrow hallway. At the end of it, a faint light pulsed, soft, rhythmic like breathing. "Hello?" he said again. A voice answered this time, low, dry, male. "You shouldn't be here." Daniel froze. The words didn't sound threatening, more like a warning. He stepped closer, but the hallway seemed to stretch unnaturally long, shadows bending and deepening. When he reached the end, he realized the light came from a small room, an office. A radio sat on the desk, its red indicator blinking. He picked it up. The frequency was dead, yet the voice had come from there. You shouldn't have stopped. Static again, then silence. Daniel dropped the radio, heart pounding. He turned to leave and saw footprints on the dusty floor leading out the back door. Fresh ones. He followed them instinctively, stepping into the cold night air. Behind the station was a wide open field, faintly illuminated by moonlight. The footprints stopped suddenly at the edge of the dirt. No one there. He turned back, and the station lights had gone out. The neon sign, the pump, the store, all dark, all dead silent. For a moment, the desert was pure black. Then, from far down Route 39, Daniel saw two headlights appear. A car approaching slowly, its beams cutting the dark in half. He waited by his car, unsure if he wanted to wave or hide. The vehicle got closer, an old sedan, same model as his, and when it passed, he saw his own face behind the wheel. The car vanished into the dark horizon. Daniel stood frozen, the wind scraping dust against his shoes. When he looked back toward the gas station, there was nothing there, just empty desert and the long, endless road. Daniel drove for hours after leaving the gas station that wasn't there. No lights, no cars, only the hum of the tires and the dull ache in his chest that refused to go away. The road ahead seemed infinite, an endless strip of cracked asphalt stretching into gray emptiness. The desert had changed. It looked flatter, darker, as if the world had lost its color. His phone had died hours ago. The radio played nothing but faint static. Every now and then, he checked the rearview mirror. Nothing behind him, but he couldn't shake the image of that other car, the one with his own face behind the wheel. He tried to rationalize it. Maybe he had hallucinated. Sleep deprivation could do that. Maybe there had been another driver, someone who just looked like him. Maybe. Still, something about it felt final, like the road was showing him something he wasn't supposed to see. He thought about turning around, but there was nowhere to turn back to. Every mile he drove, Route 39 seemed to erase itself behind him, leaving only darkness. The fuel gauge dipped below a quarter. He'd have to stop soon. Then, in the distance, he saw it. A faint glow on the horizon. City lights. He pressed the accelerator, relief flooding him. But as he got closer, the glow didn't spread or brighten. It remained small, circular, a single light, hanging in the air. Daniel slowed down, squinting. It wasn't a town. It was another gas station. Same layout, same cracked sign, same lonely pump. He stepped out of the car, trembling. The wind had died completely. Not a sound anywhere. Even his own breathing felt too loud. He walked up to the window. The same dusty posters, the same flickering bulb inside. On the counter, the same radio. He stared at it. It clicked on by itself. End of Route 39. The voice whispered. This time, it was his own voice. Daniel stumbled back, heart pounding, chest tightening. He turned to run, but the car's engine was already running, headlights on. Only, he hadn't left the keys in. The driver's door was open, and in the seat, a man sat, facing forward. Daniel's breath caught. He walked closer, circling the front of the car, his own reflection moving across the windshield. But when he reached the driver's side, the seat was empty. The car idled softly. The fuel gauge read full. The radio inside whispered the same phrase again, looped, distorted. End of Route 39. End of Route 39. End. He slammed the door, threw the car into drive, and sped away. The desert blurred past him. The horizon never changed. Every mile looked the same. Every shadow repeated. At some point, dawn broke, or something like it. The sky turned pale gray. He felt his eyes burning. His hands shook on the wheel. Then, out of nowhere, a green road sign appeared on the right side. "Welcome to Route 39. Daniel blinked, looked in the mirror. Behind him, the same sign. He had come full circle. The radio flicked on again, but now it was clear. His voice, calm and tired. "You never left, Daniel." He stopped the car, turned off the engine, listened to the wind. For the first time, there was peace. Not safety, not comfort, just a quiet acceptance that the road had no end. When the first rays of sun hit the hood of his car, Daniel closed his eyes. Somewhere in the distance, the sound of another engine rose. Faint, familiar. Someone else was driving down Route 39. And this time, the road waited for them.